Hey guys, what is up? This is Calado and I'm going to be talking today about the most iconic kick in Capoeira, which is called Meia lua de Compasso. It is the most iconic kick because in any Capoeira roda that you see, you're going to see this kick. It is everywhere and it is a little bit of a complicated kick to do, so I'm going to be going over the technique that you need to perform the kick, some drills, and also some ways that you can improvise and do your kicks a little bit differently. There's a lot of different ways to practice it. There's a lot of different ways to utilize it within a capoeira setting. And so we're going to be going all of that right now. Okay, so the first thing we're going to be talking about is the actual technique. So what we want to make sure to do is when we're throwing this kick is that we're using our body weight. We want to manipulate our body weight in such a way that we're throwing our whole weight into the heel of our foot and eventually into either the ribs or the face, the head of the person that we're targeting, okay? If we're trying to hit an accuracy pad, boom, that's what we're going to be aiming for, but we want to make sure that we're putting all our weight into that kick. The way we do that is by doing this. We're going to start from the parallel position, that is with our legs slightly wider than our hips, slightly bent, and we're going to step forward with one of our legs diagonally. We're going to lean our weight onto that foot and we're going to point our heel and our hips towards the target that we're trying to hit. Next, we're going to put our hands down and make sure to put your whole palm on the floor. And the back leg, which should be straight, is the kicking leg. You should be striking with the heel of that back leg. What we're doing right now is essentially the setup for Meia lua de Compasso. You should be able to target with your eyes whatever it is that you're going to be kicking, and then bring your leg around for the actual kick. Now, if this is something that's a little bit new to you, what I suggest you do is just to lift your leg up a little bit and just walk it around your body 360 degrees, just so you get an idea of what it feels like. A lot of the kicks in capoeira are round, unlike in something like karate where you have a lot of straight kicks, or taekwondo. Taekwondo has a few round kicks, but most of them are pretty direct. Capoeira has a lot of round kicks, and this is one example of that. A very common mistake that people will do is that they will kick with their toes pointing down. And you really want to keep your whole foot parallel to the ground so that you are going to kick with your heel. If you're not hitting with your heel, then you're going to have a really weak kick. You could also injure yourself in the way that you throw your kick. So you really want to make sure that you're leading with the heel and that is the part of your body that strikes the accuracy pad or whatever it is that you're working with. If you don't have an accuracy pad or something like that, no problem, just use a chair. You can just kick over the chair for now. And that's a totally legitimate and really great way of practicing your accuracy and practicing your balance, your striking, your speed, etc. Many different components of throwing this kick. Once you're able to throw this kick, or at least once it feels a little bit more comfortable, what I suggest is we have a few drills that will make it a little bit easier. And the first one is to actually stand in the quadruped position and just kick the Meia lua de Compasso back and forth, one leg after the other. And this is just done with the palms flat on the floor, though if you can't really reach that far, if you're not that flexible, that's okay. You can put your fingers on the floor or most of your fingers on the floor, that's totally fine. And you're just gonna be practicing throwing one kick over the other. And I really suggest this if you've never done this kick before, if you've never tried it before. It's a great way to learn to lead with the heel. As I said, that's one of the most important things. And this drill kind of reinforces that idea. Once this becomes more comfortable, you can really start working more on entering with the kick rather than just the kick itself. The entrance for Meia lua de Compasso is also the way that we generate power for the kick. By placing our hands underneath our legs and twisting, what we're doing is we're creating torque, and with this torque we're creating the power that we want for the kick. A really common mistake that people will make is just putting their hands in front of their bodies, but this doesn't really do anything to create torque. You need to make sure to twist the upper body to coil yourself up like a spring, and this is what's going to allow you to kick strong and fast. And speaking of the entrance to Meia lua de Compasso, the one that we went over was the most basic, but there are other entrances to Meia lua de Compasso that are a little bit more complicated. And I'll go over them in just a second, but before that, I want to point out the different types of kicks that are all called Meia lua de Compasso. The first one and the most common one is with two hands that come down to the floor. You throw Meia lua de Compasso, both your hands come down to the floor, and that's how you throw the kick. But the other versions that exist are with one hand touching the floor, with the other hand protecting your face. The other way that we do Meia lua de Compasso is with no hands at all. So no hands Meia lua de Compasso is a little bit more theatric. And of course, in Capoeira, we have a lot of this. We have a lot of this theatricalness. There's a lot of beauty in the art itself. And that's one way to express it. You know, I can do Meia lua de Compasso with two hands on the floor. I can do it with one hand on the floor, or I can even do it with no hands on the floor. At that point, you're kind of showing off and it looks awesome and people love it. The other way that you can change this kick is by changing the entrance to the kick. Now, this is the part that gets a little bit more complicated because you need to understand a little bit more about how you can move your body using the ginga, which is the swing or the moving base of Capoeira. You can either do the Meia lua de Compasso from the parallel position, which is the one that I explained earlier, or you can do it from the ginga base, which is one leg forward, one leg back, similar to a lunge position. And from here, it's almost as if you already skipped the first step and you're ready to throw the kick. The other way that you can do Meia lua de Compasso is straight away from the parallel position. Now, this is a little bit more complicated and takes a lot of practice before you get used to it. It's very easy to lose your balance here, so I suggest this more for later. You can try this out. It's a lot of fun, but it is kind of tricky. The last one we're going to look at is, again, from this ginga base position, but instead of just doing the Meia lua de Compasso from here, is we're going to step forward with the back leg, and we're going to make that diagonal step and throw the Meia lua de Compasso from there. That is the last setup, and although this is not an exhaustive list, there are many different ways you can throw this kick. These are just some of the options that you have when you're doing Meia lua de Compasso. There's plenty of different ways that you can do it. You can throw Meia lua de Compasso from another kick. You can throw it from another movement. There's many different options. One of the last things that I'll talk about really quickly is just the combinations that you can do with Meia lua de Compasso. Many of the round kicks that you see in Capoeira are very easily transferable into each other. So if you throw one kick, then you can easily throw another one, and you can kind of link them together into different movements. And this is what kind of creates that flow that you see in a lot of Capoeira games. It's what makes it so impressive, so cool to watch, so much fun. And Meia lua de Compasso plays very well into that. You can throw a lot of different movements into Meia lua de Compasso and then outwards into many other different things. So here's a few examples that you can try out. They're a lot of fun. They were fun to film. Okay, so the last thing I'm gonna do is just ask you guys, what did you think about this video? What did you think about the kick? Let me know if you guys have any questions about how it's done, if something wasn't clear, and leave all your comments down below in the comment section. I'd be happy to hear your thoughts. So thank you guys, and if you liked the video, thumbs up. If you loved it, sub, and I'll see you guys on the next one.